Let's go straight to Jerusalem, where we find NBC News chief foreign correspondent Richard Engel. Richard, so what more do we know about the extent of this strike, about what Iran might do in retaliation in this back and forth that's been going on since April 1st since that Israeli strike that killed 2 generals in Damascus? The United States says it was briefed that there would be an attack last night, did not participate, though. So what else do we know this morning?
We know that this attack appears to have been quite limited. The Iranians are telling their people through state media that this was no big deal, to stay calm, that life is continuing as normal. Here in Jerusalem, things are very much proceeding as normal. People are out. The buses are running. People are on the streets. Shops are open. There have been no air raid sirens. Same in Tel Aviv, all across the country. The military has not given any guidance here telling people to seek shelters or to listen for upcoming radio announcements. The attack, according to Iranian media, took place in the city of Isfahan on a military base. There were some air defenses in action in the city. You could see flashes in the sky. But then Iranian media, shortly afterwards, have been showing pictures of life going on as normal in Isfahan. They showed pictures of the area around the nuclear facility, also calm, no damage there. So the message coming out of Iran officially to the public is that there was an attack, that it was largely unsuccessful, thwarted, and that people should continue to go about their business. Here in Israel, they are not talking about it publicly at all. An official telling NBC News that yes, Israel did carry out this strike, but not providing any details, and that they are conducting a battle damage assessment. Now, I've been speaking with officials in the region, and they described this attack as not symbolic, but marginal was a word that was used, and they do not know if Iran plans to carry out some sort of counterstrike or leave it here and move on to a path of de-escalation, allow the shadow war that has been going on between Iran and Israel for decades to recede back into the shadows and not tip this region into a regional war.
Richard, as you say, these strikes by both sides over the last week or so have been limited relative to the damage and casualties both Israel and Iran are capable of inflicting on each other. So is there a concern now that whatever comes next could be larger, that a population center could be attacked? Or do they feel like they've settled what they need to settle here with this back and forth?
I think it's too early to tell, but an indication is probably the messaging that both governments are telling their people. If Israel expected that there would be a massive counterstrike, I'm quite sure that they would be informing the public to take precautions. When Israel was anticipating the strike over the weekend from Iran, the Israeli military went into overdrive. They were doing hourly briefings, telling people to take it seriously, to go into the shelters, to stay there for 10 minutes or more. This country, for the last 6 months, has been on war footing. So when the air raid sirens go off, often people are now shrugging them off, not paying attention, not rushing to their shelters, because it has been going on for 6 months. The fact that they didn't issue any new guidance, it seems to be a sign that Israel at least hopes that this phase is over. It doesn't mean the conflict is over. There is the ongoing war in Gaza. There is the potentially pending military operation against Rafah. It seems that Iran and Israel will continue to carry out attacks against each other. There are almost daily attacks between Israel and Hezbollah in southern Lebanon. But the overt, open war between Iran and Israel, at this stage, we're not sure if these were last licks or if a new round is coming. But looking at the messaging on both sides, it seems that both sides may be trying to pull it back from the brink.
Right. NBC's Richard Engel reporting from Jerusalem. Thank you very much.
Hey, everyone. MSNBC has a new and improved app. You'll get real-time alerts and analysis, live blogs, in-depth essays, video highlights, and the best 2024 election coverage. Download the new MSNBC app. Here's how to do it. You tap on the App Store on your phone. You hit search on the bottom right corner. You type in MSNBC. You click on the MSNBC app. You click on Get or the cloud icon and enjoy it.